This is the 68th Taiku, which means unresolved question. 68th Taiku, unanswered, unresolved question in the Babylonian Talmud. And in my PL89 box numbers of the day video, I had, when I came to 40, I didn't know what to say for 40 because I wasn't sure. But now I made a concession, sort of allowance to, if I forget what I wanted to say or didn't have a number, I can re-say it during this Taiku period if I remember it. And even in the Daf Yomi as well, but try to get it here. On the Islamic calendar, it is the third day of Rabi al-Awwal, which sounds kind of like Elul. Al-Awwal, at least to me, it sounds like Elul. And we're on the second day of Elul. So Islamic is a lunar calendar, and it's a Hebrew lunar calendar. But so when second day of Elul today, so it's 32, and then the third day of Al-Awwal, which would be Vox 40 in this calendar. But if you count from left to right. But there's another counting where you count from right to left. That's in the analysis excuse me, of the 72 names, 72 holy names. And then it goes from right to left, like Hebrew. But I'm also counting both ways. I'm counting both ways. From left to right and from right to left, because it's both. So what I realized is that if I'm counting the names, I came to name 40 today. So that's the answer. I didn't know what 40 was, but the answer is that I came to the 40th name, which ends up on box 40. And in box 40 is the third day. If you're counting the other way, if you're counting this way, it's the third day of Al-Awwal, would be in box 40 as well. That was the thing. So anyway, taking it back to the Taiku, take it back to the Taiku, no pun intended, now pun intended. Take it back to the Taiku. We're into the 68th Taiku is in Tractate Yevamot. Yevamot 113b. What's the words? Ilav daite tseluta udiolam chadadaitahu oidin mapshita le daite kalishta vilav daite tseluta or perhaps is his mind not clear, meaning he cannot achieve full and clear understanding, and yet he is always of one mind. In other words, a deaf-mute functions at the same level of intellectual capacity every day. Rav Ashi explains the other possibility, or perhaps it is obvious to Rabbi Elazar that the mind of a deaf-mute is weak and his mind is unclear, but in this case, here, this is Rabbi Elazar's reasoning, since he is at times competent and at times imbecilic, without clarity of mind, meaning he does not function at the same level of understanding every day. Therefore, the truma of a deaf-mute is considered truma that is of doubtful legal status. L'may nafkamina, the Gemara asks, what is the practical difference? Lehotzi ishto beget. I amret chadadaitahu kekedushin kach keroshin. The Gemara asks, what is the practical difference? L'may nafkamina, how one defines the intellectual capacity of a deaf-mute. The Gemara answers it makes a difference with respect to divorcing his wife with the bill of divorce. If you say that a deaf-mute has one consistent mind, his divorce is equivalent in status to his betrothal. since he had a weak mind at the time of his betrothal, he has the same level of competence at his divorce, and therefore he may divorce his wife. But if you say that he at times is competent and at times is imbecilic, if you say that a deaf mute is at times competent and at times imbecilic, he may betroth a woman, as the sages are stringent, and assume that he was healthy and clear of clear mind at the time. However, he cannot divorce her due to a concern that he was competent when he betrothed her, but he is incompetent now. If so, what is Rabbi Elazar's reasoning? No solution is found, and therefore the Gemara states that the dilemma shall stand unresolved. Now here's an extra added bonus from the PL89 Gematriatic Thought Calendar, and it's only because it works in this one very well. Now this is the 68th Taiku, right? 68. And in the PL89, if you've been watching the PL89 videos, the rule of 40 states that any number, in this case let's say 68, can be categorized or grouped together with ad infinitum amount of numbers that are in its line 40 descendancy, which means 68 and you add 40 would be 108, right? That's called the first generation of its descendancy. So 108 equals 68, right? If you add 40, then it's 108 is 148, 188, 228, etc. So Elazar, I happen to know this because I'm studying Gematria for a long time. Elazar is 308. And 308 is in the descendancy of 68. Watch this. 68 plus 40, 108, 148, 188, 228, 268, 308. Elazar is in he's referenced in the 68th Taiku, meaning what's the reasoning of Rabbi Elazar is referenced. It says, what is Rabbi Elazar's reasoning? And Rabbi Elazar, according to the PL89, is 68, even though Elazar equals 308, but if you subtract 40, you're going to get 68.